This game was very shocking. Probably one of the most shocking game sevens I've ever witnessed in all my years of watching the NBA, and I've been watching the NBA since the early 90s. This game was weird. Just, I had to say that straight up weird in the sense that you had a defending champion that had game seven on their home court. So all the momentum would be in their favor. And you're thinking, like, all right, they're going to win this game. It is at home. It's very rare defending champion loses a game seven on their home court. Unfortunately, I do remember the last time it happened because I'm a Spurs fan. 2006 Game 7 against the Dallas Mavericks. And that game was just awful. Spurs should have won that game, but go watch it. Monty committed a dumb foul on Dirk that sent the game to overtime, and the Spurs ended up losing that game. This game kind of had some eerie parallels to that game, but a little bit different, I would say, in the sense that the Nuggets were up in that game. In this game, unlike the Spurs, who had come back from a 20-point deficit in that game, the Nuggets had a 20-point some lead at one point in time, and they blew it. Just to me, it's just kind of like mind-numbing. Just when you think about what just happened, the Nuggets started off the game strong. They started off just with a great first half compared to the Timberwolves. Timberwolves had only like 38 points at halftime, while the Nuggets had like 53, and just all the momentum was on their side. Just you could have felt it in that first half. And then just in the second half, it just went down to shit. Just and it didn't start to go down shit immediately, but it was just like the Nuggets go up 58-38, and you're thinking, all right, this is the third quarter, they're up 58-38. They're on their home court. There's no way they're going to blow this lead. They're defending champions. They have experience. They're veterans. They're going to maintain this lead, but it just starts to slip away very quickly. Like I remember Gobert had a dunk that cut it down to 18, and then they got a defensive stop, and McDaniels hit a three, and it was a 15-point lead. And after that happened, it seemed like the Nuggets couldn't stop the bleeding because I think they went a long period of time without scoring. It felt like it was like 8 or 9 minutes, and they just couldn't hit anything. Just it was bad. But once the Wolves just cut that lead down to 2 or 3 points, you knew the momentum was gone, and just it was really bad for the Nuggets. They just couldn't buy a bucket when they really needed to in that third quarter. Just the lead was just shriveling up, and just it went downhill really quickly. I would say in this game, you look at Jokic's numbers: 34 points, 19 rebounds, 7 assists. Those are great numbers, but then you got to look at just he shot 13 to 28 from the field, which again is just a bad field goal percentage for Jokic because normally he shoots about 50%. So the Wolves basically contained him, even though he got 34, but it was on below 50% shooting. And he shot 2 of 10 from three. I think a lot of those threes, from what I can remember, he was missing shots that weren't even contested. Just he was breaking them, just missing them straight up. Could he have drove to the paint? I guess, but then again, he could have gotten stripped simply because Minnesota's good at packing the paint area. But just it was really bad. I think the guy that might not be talked about much in this game, but I felt he really choked in this game was Michael Porter Jr. Just this guy was trash. I feel for like the last 3 or 4 games, like he's been like garbage. Like the first 3 games of the series, he was great. The last 3 or 4 games is just complete trash, just very putrid. Aaron Gordon was really bad in this game. Just he was terrible, and yeah, he was the only guy who was kind of solid the last game. Just weird, just for him to be complete shit in this game. KCP, just another bad offensive game, but I thought defensively he was good in this game. It was very odd for the Nuggets. I would say their bench caught up to them eventually. It seemed like they were going to cheat by not having a good bench in the series and somehow prevail. Christian Brown had 5 points, but that was it. No one else on their bench could score. Just the rest of that bench was garbage. One thing I say about Christian Braun, this guy is a good hustle player. I give him that, but I don't think this kid is going to have a long NBA career if he doesn't learn how to shoot properly. Just he can't hit jump shots. You could leave this guy wide open, and you know he's going to miss like most of the time. He's just a terrible shooter. Granted, he's a good hustle player. He makes athletic plays, but I just had to say I don't respect his game really, since he can't hit a jump shot. Like, you can't be some athletic player and not have a jump shot. This is not like It's not like you're Rondo, just where you can get away with this shit. So I had to put that in there. Now, when I look at the Wolves, just I would say the underrated player of the game was Jaden McDaniels. Just he had a game where he scored 20 or more points on above 70% shooting, and I think the last game he shot 80% and got 20 points. This game he had 23 points and he had 70, and he got on 70% shooting. Just surreal, but he benefited from all the double teams that the Nuggets were doing to Anthony Edwards, and he made them pay. They gambled, and it didn't work out in that regard. I would say he was underrated, but I would also think Karl Anthony Towns was huge. Just he had a big game. No one will really talk about it, since he's always like the guy who gets all the criticism when the Wolves lose. But I felt he's the reason why they won. Just he was very dominant on the offensive end, 23 points, 8 of 14 shooting. He really was very efficient. I think that's like close to 60% shooting right there. So you got to give him credit. Just if he didn't play well in this game, I don't think they would have won. And that was just like the game 2 victory they had, where he had a great offensive game. Just he was just an X factor in this game. Anthony Edwards paid homage to Kobe Bryant this game. 6 of 24 shooting. It reminds me of some of the terrible shooting games Kobe would have in the past, only to get bailed out on the offensive end by his bigs and Gasol and Bynum back in the day. So it was very similar in this regard. Just the Gobert, Cat, and Naz Reid really bailed him out when he was building a mansion in this game. I will give him credit to this, though. He was great on the defensive end. He made a difference in that regard with the pressure and getting some steals. So I credit him on that. Just he had a few steals that led to dunks that were game changers. So that just shows when you're playing bad offensively, you can still make an impact on the defensive end. And he did that. So, yeah, that's what I would say. But the Wolves now are in the conference finals. This will be an interesting matchup. I feel that could go either way. And I will say the Nuggets are really going to think about this hard this summer. They choked away a golden opportunity to be back-to-back champions. Just they folded up in this game. Just they really did. They took their foot off the gas pedal, and to me, I've never seen this happen before. Just a defending champion blow a 20-point lead in Game 7. Something they're going to think about for a very, very long time, and it will definitely hurt. Be interested to see if they can come back next year with a vengeance to get their title back. Maybe they'll have a Spurs-like comeback, like how the Spurs did during the Duncan era. Whenever they lost, they would come back the next year to win it again. We'll see. Just it'll be very interesting, but one thing I would say that cost them the series is their bench. Just their front office will have to make some moves this summer to see if they can get some legit guys on their bench that can help them. And that's all I have to say about them. And the Western Conference Finals will be very interesting.